Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to what is effectively the final session in this UK Africa Trade Mission. Thank you very much for sticking with us for 3 days now. It's been a pleasure to have you. My name is Yemika Adeshola. I'm a qualified lawyer practicing in Nigeria, and I also run an organization called Legally Engaged that essentially makes available recruitment opportunities, training, mentoring, and capacity building in general to young Nigerian lawyers. So in this panel, in this session, I will be speaking with some youngish lawyers who are at the forefront of their legal careers in various sectors. And the intention is to understand what the legal services terrain is, where they're practicing. We're all practicing different jurisdictions. We'll get to that later. And to see what things look like from the point of view of the people who refer to as the leaders of tomorrow, the legal leaders of tomorrow, and understand how the UK and Africa can collaborate better to make that journey from today to leaders of tomorrow a much smoother one. So thank you once again for joining us. I will introduce the panel. First, I have Charlie Louise Akintilo, who is an in-house counsel with Insight Software and also an offshore associate with the Nigerian law firm Olisa Agbakoba Legal. Hi, Charlie Louise.
Hi, Yemika.
Hi.
Thank you for the introduction.
And I also have Chineye Nwanaka, who's the founder and managing partner of the Firma Advisory. That's essentially a multidisciplinary law firm based in Lagos. Hi, Chineye.
Just checking to see that we're based in Lagos and Abuja, but yeah, can you hear me?
Okay. Hi, Chineye.
I'm currently in Abuja.
And I have also Ethan Madanvahu, who's a tech law and policy advisor at Encode. And Encode, he'll speak more about that, I'm sure, is an organization that essentially pursues the African agenda in tech law, in tech policy, and tech development. So welcome, everybody. Hi, Charlie Louise. Hi, Chineye. Hi, Ethan.
Hey, great to be here.
Thank you. So because of the kinds of things that we're going to be discussing in this panel, it's important for me to, or for the audience really, to get a better understanding of what each person on this panel does. So I would ask that you just take 2 minutes, 1 minute actually, to give us a little overview, talk to us about yourself, what you do at the moment, because this session is titled Legal Trailblazers. So we want to hear a little bit more from you about what you're doing to blaze the trail in different industries and different sectors. So I'll start with you, Ethan.
Thank you. Thank you. So actually, I usually introduce myself as a tech lawyer by profession, but a Pan-African entrepreneur by necessity. So basically what that speaks to is the idea that no one is coming to save us. We are the heroes that we need, and it's really up to us. And that's how that's how it interlinks with my legal profession. Like as you mentioned, I am a tech law and policy advisor at Encode, and basically what we do there is we have two departments: an advisory department and a policy department. And under our advisory departments, we do your basic legal stuff. This is your compliance and making sure that your clients have documents that are legally sound. And also advisory that helps them get into the direction that they want to go to. And then there's the policy side, where we look at more of implementation of different strategies and the drafting of different strategies and how we can ensure that tech and the benefits of tech are being exploited and are being gained across Africa. So technology, as we all know, it's regarded as a new concept, or there is the mystery that we would like to debunk in this conversation, I hope. But people are scared of it. So what we do is we try to give them an understanding of the landscape and how to navigate it.
Okay, that is certainly blazing a new trail. Thank you, Ethan. I'll certainly come back to you with some questions regarding that. Chineye, could you tell us a little bit more about what you do? Sorry, I realized that you mentioned that you're based both in Lagos and Abuja.
Yes, yes. So my name is Chineye Wanaka, obviously. I'm a lawyer and I'm also a social entrepreneur. And I like to call myself a change agent. So I'm very passionate about implementing public policy as well as, advocating for law reform and policy reform on the continent. So my 9 to 5 obviously is the Firma Advisory. I'm the founder of the Firma Advisory, which is a boutique law and consulting firm. And like I said, we're in Abuja and Lagos, but we also have an international presence in the UK and in the US. And it's, we're mostly a young team. Everybody on the team is under 35, and we're very innovative in our approach. We try to be very flexible, very creative, and in the work that we do, we service clients in the public sector. So we have government agencies that we work for here in the Federal Capital Territory of Nigeria. Government agencies such as INEC, which is our Electoral Commission, PENCOM, our Pension Commission as well, and other government agencies, and then clients in the private sector as well. And I'm also a co-founder of Africa Policy Conversations, which is a Pan-African initiative that is clamoring for better policies across the continent. So in a nutshell, that's like one or two of the things that I do.
That you do. All right. Thank you, Chineye. And Charlie Louise.
Thank you, Yumika, for chairing this session, and thank you to the Ministry of Justice for having me, Tanai Reid and Liz for being instrumental in putting this together.
Chineye, I'm so sorry to cut you short, Chineye. I can't really hear you, so I don't want to assume. I don't know if everyone else would be able to hear you, but I can't hear you properly.
Can you hear me now? Is that better?
Slightly better, yes.
Okay. I just had to finish giving my thanks to everyone. I'm going to keep my introduction short, and if you don't hear me again, just let me know and I'll speak louder. Our bios are on the website, so I'll just keep it short and sweet. My name is Charlie Louise Akintilla, as Yumika mentioned, and I work full-time for a technology company called Insight Software as in-house counsel. It's a technology company that creates innovative financial reporting products and solutions for various companies. I also maintain that position alongside being an offshore associate for Elisa Bakwa Legal. So I sort of act as a conduit between the UK and Nigeria to recognize business opportunities and collaborations between firms and companies. Thank you, Yumika.
Great, thank you. I love that, Charlie. Thank you. So Chineye, I'll start with you. So you're blazing the trail essentially by running your own practice, is what I understand. Can you talk us through some of the challenges that you might have experienced starting out?
Well, to be honest, I'm not going to lie, it's very challenging. A lot of people see the glamorous side of running your own law practice, but being a young person and being a woman in a country where people sort of look down on young people, I don't think that they have the capacity or the competence to deliver on the work. So we've had to face that challenge of having to prove ourselves, having to go above and beyond, and maybe also sort of have to subsidize our fees, our legal fees, try and get people to sort of buy into the idea of using our services. But over time, you build your confidence and you build your capacity and you learn to say no to certain briefs. So it's been challenging to do that. And also, with the recent times, obviously the economic downturn as well, people don't have as much purchasing power, and sometimes people don't want to pay the right amount of service, the right amount of fees for legal services. So that has been a huge challenge because obviously they're running costs. You have to pay for your office, you have to pay for the staff you work with. We have a team of about 8 lawyers and 2 support staff, which is like 10 lawyers, and it gets pretty expensive. So I think it's been challenging just trying to, put out that standard, global standard, but, facing the challenge of having to earn fees that are not commensurate with other parts of the world. So yeah, I think that's I'll just say one of the challenges that we face so far.
Okay, I'm going to come back to what you've said about having to charge fees that are not commensurate. So I assume what lawyers in other parts of the world are earning. But I'd like to go to Ethan really quickly. Ethan, you said something at the beginning that really struck me. it sounded like you got into the tech law space or tech advisory space, you said, because you realized that no one's coming to help us, we have to help ourselves. So can you talk to me a little bit about that? I was listening to the session by Richard Susskind, and he was speaking a lot about legal tech and where legal tech might be going in the next decade. So can you just help us understand a little bit what the gaps are that you've seen in Africa in general, as far as tech law and really employing tech to drive the future goes?
Yeah, thank you for that. It's something that I'm quite passionate about. And I would say the biggest challenge right now is access to the internet. The COVID has really exposed, I believe, the deficiencies that are in our existing systems in terms of how to be digitally competitive. So you find that a lot of startups, a lot of businesses have gone out of business because they couldn't compete on a digital platform. They weren't digitally friendly. And if you start there, I think the best way to look back at the foundation of where the problems are or where the crux is, we have to go back into the education system. And through the education of our youth, we are not hitting the mark correctly. So there is no access to the internet that benefits our youth in this day and age. If you look at Africa as a whole, you'll be shocked at the number of countries that have below 10% bandwidth, right? So even the webinar that we are hosting today, for the audience who is the African child or the ordinary African citizen, for them to actually participate, for them to actually engage with us on this webinar, takes a certain bandwidth that most African countries don't have. So there's so many benefits that technology has brought to us that we can really capitalize on, but we just can't because our policies are not correctly in place that give us an advantage as African youth, as you put it, as trailblazers, or however you may try to categorize us. But the biggest challenge I see facing the African continent right now is making sure that everyone is on the net and is as competitive as we can be. And I'll just round up that answer to keep it short. But there's this saying that I really like, and it says it's better to build boys than to repair men. And I feel like our policies here in Africa try to repair men. They try to mend things here and there, but they're not going to the crux of the issue. They're not going to the young kid who's growing up in Kigali, the young kid who's growing up in Harare, and asking themselves, how do we get that young kid in the rural areas the right access to the internet? How do we get them quality internet that is fast and reliable, and making sure that he can be as fruitful as all these other heroes that we see coming out from different regions.
Great, thank you so much. Charlie Louise, I'm going to come to you for a second now, just taking off from where Ethan left off. He mentioned something I think is very important. He talked about how essentially Africa is not really where it should be as far as even something as basic as exposure to the internet or access to the internet is. And because I know that you kind of straddle financial technology and maybe technology as well in what you do at Inside Software, I'm just looking for your opinion. Is that what you experience as well, especially also working in Nigeria and working in the UK and kind of seeing how things work in both jurisdictions? What's your experience or what's your opinion on this?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with Ethan, all the points he said in respect to, the fact that access to the internet is a really big issue. The infrastructure that is, I'll speak more so from the Nigerian standpoint, there's a huge infrastructure deficit in Nigeria. And so we've got systems in play which don't really allow, the younger generation or people who don't really have the opportunity to access the internet. We've got systems that don't really, allow these people to take advantage of access to the internet because of the infrastructure deficit that we have in Nigeria. And again, that comes back to power, the fact that, you know, in Nigeria, you know, we run on NEPA, right? So there isn't a constant 24/7 power supply, which would allow someone to access the internet. Majority of people in Nigeria, and I don't really know the statistics, but how many of them can we say are using mobile phones, smartphones? We can't really say that. And so we've got these infrastructure deficits, which aren't really putting, you know, a number of individuals in Nigeria in the best light or the best stepping stool to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that are available to them.
Great, thank you, Charlie Louise. Chinenye, I'm just going to come to you now for a second on the basis of everything that we've been discussing. So it seems that the consensus so far is that Africa is behind as far as infrastructure, especially tech is concerned. So I'm wondering how this impacts you, especially with the point that you alluded to earlier, trying to compete with maybe some of the bigger law firms in Africa or working with law firms overseas. How do you feel that that's something that has worked, who knows, maybe in your favor, or something that's working to your detriment, where you find yourself trying to compete because the legal services market, it seems, is getting bigger and bigger. Finding yourself competing with some of these bigger names, what's your experience been like? And if at all, have you been able to overcome those?
It's a great question. Obviously, like I talked about, it's not easy to compete, especially when you don't have the enabling environment. When you talk about things like infrastructure and, you know, access to finance and other issues, other challenges that we face on the continent. However, I see these challenges as also opportunities as well, depending on how you look at it. So, for instance, now the emerging areas of law, things like technology law, data protection, privacy, and all these new emerging areas of law, because there is that gap, it now gives us an opportunity to fill that gap. So, for instance, we've worked with organizations, National Information Technology Development Agency in Nigeria, and other organizations both in Nigeria and in the US to try and develop policies around data protection, technology law, and even the space, the advocacy space as well. So the fact that these things don't exist also gives us an opportunity as well to be able to fill that gap and be sort of like pioneers in that space. So looking at it from the positive side, you know, every problem also presents an opportunity. So yeah, there are challenges, but like I said, you know, if you think positive, and it makes you more creative, it makes you more resilient, it makes you more grateful for what you have, you know. So I think that would be my response to that question.
Yeah, that's a great response, and it kind of helps me to segue into what I was hoping that we will discuss next. How do you think that UK-Africa trade, especially the legal services are great, for instance, that kind of platform, can assist young lawyers who are trying to do their thing, to make a name for themselves, no matter how small at this time? What kind of opportunities do you see with UK-Africa trade that you think might propel them in the right direction?
So I think there are a lot of opportunities. I always advocate for getting involved in solving the problems, like I said. And the reason why I got involved in policy making was because I realized that things like infrastructure, government plays a huge role, right? And with the UK-Africa Trade Mission, I feel like there needs to be collaboration between both governments to build capacity. There is a huge capacity gap. And also there's a lot of waste of resources as well on the continent. And we also need younger people as well in government, more innovative people in government. And I feel like that collaboration needs to really look at the roots of the problems and prefer solutions to those problems. Lawyers need an enabling environment to do business. If we're going to compete with lawyers in other parts of the world, we need to have the tools, we need to have the infrastructure, we need to have the capacity, you know, to compete. We need to have access to learning, you know, because the world is changing and even the law practice is evolving every day. So access to trainings, access to courses. So there's huge room for collaboration, because obviously the UK is a lot more advanced in these areas. So there's a lot of learning, knowledge sharing, collaboration that can go on between the UK and Africa, you know, in particular.
Thanks, Chiney. And again, you've given me another fantastic segue. Ethan, I'm going to come to you because just looking through your profile before today, I saw that you have an LLM, and I think it was information technology. And given what Chiney has said about capacity development and knowledge sharing, I'm trying to understand from you, what do you feel was the place of your LLM degree in what you're doing at the moment? So do you feel that it's something that young lawyers need to actually study? In Africa, we're still referring to technology as an emerging area of practice. I'm not sure that's the case in Silicon Valley. I'm not sure anyone working as a lawyer in Silicon Valley is going to be referring to it as emerging, but I mean, that's what it is here in Africa. So I'm wondering, Ethan, what are your thoughts on the place of academia, on the place of training? Is it something that it's easier if they learn on the job, or is it something where they need to have that kind of grounding that maybe you had with your LLM in IT?
Yes. So I will encourage everyone listening to really pursue furthering their education because, as you mentioned, my LLM really set me on that trajectory in terms of understanding these concepts. There are two things that are there to be careful of when we speak of this topic. The first is certification, and the second is education. So I got a certificate in LLM. So I went through that process, yes, and it has helped me through my get to the point that I'm at now and understanding very technical and complex concepts. But you don't need to go to a university to get an education. That's the point I want to drive home. There are ways to be aware of your surroundings. There are ways to be aware of where business is going, or where career paths are going, or where the global society as a whole is going, and making sure that you are a part of that conversation, that you are a part of that pack. And you can do this without a formal education. Like I was saying, access to internet is something I'm so passionate about, because with a click of a swipe of a finger, I'm provided by so many resources. Yes, so many resources that I can really capitalize on. And another question that I'll just add there is the fact that I truly believe that Africa is innovative. So if we're speaking about collaboration, as Chinenyo was saying, on this whole issue around harmonization, or around the collaboration between the UK and Africa, there must be an understanding as well that Africa and Africans are really innovative. If you go into the townships there, you see the things that are the ideas that are being formulated just so these groups, these classes can survive. You would be inspired by that. And my plea and my goal in what I do is trying to make sure that they can upscale. And that's the benefit that technology brings, right? So understanding that is something that you can get through your LLMs, but there's so much more information out there that we could make use of to understand how we can be better and do better. We are already creative. We need models, yes, and we would like to collaborate and find ways that we could can both benefit, mutually beneficial relationships. But it starts with us saying, again, there's no one else who can save us, and this is a global cry. This is not only for Africa. This is for the West and the East, the South, the North. That we are here on this earth for a limited time, and we can really make use of it if we band together.
Fantastic. I'm sorry, I'm just going to ask you one follow-up question. So I understand when you say that there's the place of what Africa needs to do for itself, but I'm trying to understand, I mean, because again, this is a UK-Africa trade mission, what the place of UK-Africa collaboration is in your mind, to be able to resolve two issues which you've raised. The first being access to internet, or the information that one can access on the internet, and two, collaboration with upskilling or with trainings or whatever else you think the solution might be to the problems that we're facing. What is the place of UK Africa collaboration to your mind?
So if we look at the African plane right now, although yes, there are reasons to be optimistic. If you look at the African plane and the African region as a whole, you start to look at the kind of laws that they have, like their privacy laws, and you start to see that a few might have those in play, or others, a lot like your Zimbabwe and your Nigeria, have had bills for a long time. And these are things, these are documents that are just circulated and you're commented on, and it takes a while for those to then come into play and to be affected. And you have certain policies that it takes a long time for them to be affected, or effected rather. And that's where I see a huge gap for us to collaborate on, because as Africans who are living in Africa, we have an understanding of how Africans behave, and how the legal or regulatory landscape should look like. And the UK has certain models and policies that are so intricate and are also based on the GDPR. So they also come with that knowledge, technical knowledge, and we can also come with the experience of being living in Africa, and how we could customize it to the African people. So again, I think I'm just echoing what Chinyanya said in terms of a collaboration around these policies and laws. And I think there's a huge gap there in terms of data privacy. There's a huge gap there in terms of just market access to markets.
Great, thank you so much. I'll come on to you now, Charlie Louise, because you have an interesting profile in that you work with Insight Software in the United Kingdom, but you're also kind of working as well with a Nigerian law firm. So I'm curious to hear your thoughts on how the UK and Africa can collaborate, especially with what Ethan just said regarding collaborating around policies and laws that we might need to effect the change that we want. So what's your experience been working essentially across 2 jurisdictions, and what possible solutions have you seen to be able to increase trade, increase the flow of legal services between the UK and Africa? Because that is, I guess, essentially what you're doing, from what I understand, at Olisa Bakoba, to bridge the gap between Olisa Bakoba in Nigeria and whatever clientele they might be trying to get at in the United Kingdom. So to wrap it up, I'm just curious to understand your thoughts as to what opportunities might lie with the UK and Africa.
Yeah, so just to go over some of the points you said. So I am working as in-house counsel for Insight Software, and I simultaneously hold the position as also associate for Olisa Ogbakaba Legal. What I've been able to do is really tap into my network in the UK and Nigeria and act as a conduit between the two countries. I believe that this is something that, the UK to Africa Trade Mission can really, take advantage from, because it's about opening a conversation and having open dialogues with some of the issues that we need to address. So for example, working in Nigeria and being an offshore associate for Olisa Ogbakaba Legal has given me an opportunity in the UK to, have open dialogues with these law firms in the UK and really tell them of the different, objectives which we are trying to streamline and the different objectives which we are trying to actually develop. So I think as well, coming from the barriers that are actually being placed with the UK to Africa connection, and how we can actually resolve this trade is basically.
I think we have lost Charlie Louise for a moment. Yamika, I'll leave it to you to pick up there.
So Chinaya, I'll just come on to you really briefly then. What emerging trends do you see? I mean, we've spoken about the opportunity, we've spoken about the issues, we've spoken about some ways that we might be able to resolve those issues, capacity building, opening up the barriers a little bit. I was hoping to discuss with Charlie Louise about the opportunities. Oh, okay. Hi, Charlie
I
Louise.
think
I'll just
I
let you
just,
wrap up if you remember what you were speaking about, because I had a follow-up question based on some things that you mentioned.
sorry about that. I think I had a technical issue, but you know, some of the even the emerging trends that I've even seen in terms of the UK to Africa trade, you know, the younger generation of clients, they're not really wanting to go for the traditional services that are delivered in a traditional way. You know, you've got access to social media, so I think, you know, the consultative advisory services which we were providing before are probably going to be dropped out, because we've got the younger generation which are trying to adopt different types of measures for, you know, communicating in terms of legal advisory services. And we've found that, you know, small businesses also, they're able to secure, you know, legal guidance and legal advisory services from social networking, you know, social networking, and also instantly as well. I think there's a company called AfriWise, and what they do, it's a platform that provides instant answers to legal questions. So I think, you know, some of these emerging trends, the younger generation are really looking for different ways of providing legal services. And I think if that is something that the UK to Africa Trade Mission can understand in terms of understanding its various demographics, they'll probably be able to tap into a different sector. So yeah.
Great, thank you, Charlie Louise. Chineye, this is a good point to get your opinion, because you run a law firm and you provide legal services. What emerging trends and what are you seeing as far as legal services, legal service delivery, and just the legal terrain in general? What are the emerging trends that you see that maybe we should watch out for in the next decade or so?
Yeah, I think generally from my experience, clients are looking for lawyers that are more well-rounded. So not just lawyers that are knowledgeable about the law, but knowledgeable about business, knowledgeable about, you know, their sector, if it's technology, if it's the creative industry, music, if it's, you know, so they want lawyers who also have in-depth knowledge of their industry. And also they want lawyers that can offer other services. So sometimes we find ourselves doing some HR services, for instance, helping to hire lawyers for our client, hire staff for our clients, you know, drafting the employment agreements, employment terms, the company policies and stuff. So the other like advisory services that are also attached to the typical legal services that we offer. So lawyers, you know, moving forward need to be a lot more well-rounded in their approach. Even in terms of business development for lawyers, like she talked about social media, and, you know, people want lawyers that are more relatable. They want to know about their life. They want to be able to look at their profile and connect with them, you know. So I feel like lawyers really need to upskill themselves, you know how to use technology. I mean, most meetings now are virtual. So, you know, it goes without saying, know how to network online, know how to, you know, make legal service delivery more efficient. It's not just about the billable hours. People want flexible fee arrangements, and, you know, people want lawyers that are just more, that add more value, you know. So, and also people are also moving away from things like litigation as well. I'll talk about like Nigeria, for instance. People want other means of dispute resolution, you know, be it arbitration, mediation, be it, you know, both virtual and in person as well. So I think, you know, technology is really taking over, and all those roles that are so repetitive are going to be taken away. Most of these administrative functions and stuff will be taken away. So, you know, being able to embrace technology and not see it as a threat, because some lawyers feel like technology is taking away their jobs and stuff, robots and stuff are taking away their jobs. But I think that we really need to think outside the box and look at other things that we can add on to our typical legal role. That way we can add more value to the service that we offer our clients.
Imika, can I just add something to what Chineye has said?
Okay.
Just following on what she said, I think it's also very important that, you know, gone are the days that we just look at law as, you know, just being an excellent lawyer. You know, it's more than that. You really have to think about law as a business, because if you do not have clients, you cannot do business. So I think it's embedding this mindset in lawyers as well, to understand that law is a business and law cannot just be law. You know, the practice of law cannot just be that. It has to be, it has so many different business subtexts to it. So I think it's really important just to emphasize that law is a business, and we really need to be focusing on that and thinking about that in our day-to-day transactions, because we can be the greatest lawyers, but if we don't have business clientele or clients, we cannot actually render our services. So.
Great, thank you, Charlie Louise. And this is something that I often wonder about because I, like I said, I run Legally Engaged. That's a career center that has a lot of capacity building initiatives for young lawyers. So I know that we know all of these issues. So we know that young lawyers and lawyers in general really need to understand, for instance, like you said, Charlie Louise, that law is a business and they need to stop seeing it as just a profession. But thinking of putting my, I guess, capacity development cap on, I'm wondering, how do we really go about helping people to understand this? And I'll come back to you, Chineye, on this, because I mean, you're a lawyer and you run a business. So I'm sure that you've seen firsthand, maybe sometimes in some not so friendly ways or not so nice ways, that law is a business and you need to treat it as such. So what is your opinion, especially again, looking at UK, Africa interrelations, about how we can help lawyers to understand that with where law is going in the next couple of years, knowing the law and having a good grasp of the profession is not going to be sufficient. You actually need to understand that law is a business. You need to understand the need for publicity, to be active on social media, to give all of those value-added services that you spoke about. I'm really trying to drill down on a solution here. What do you think we can do, Chineye, to help lawyers to see that, especially having the UK-Africa interrelations in mind?
I think that, you know, we need to get serious. Lawyers need to get serious. It's not just about the passion for the law. And, you know, some of us were so passionate about justice. You know, we want to promote access to justice and, you know, we want to help society. And those are all noble causes. Those are all needed. But at the same time, in order to sustain a business, because it's a business, you have overhead costs. You know, you need to be able to pay the lawyers you work with. You need to be able to pay the, you know, everything, the bills, and even live a decent, comfortable life. So you need to be able to value your services accordingly. And if you're valuing your services at a premium, you need to be able to, you know, the client needs to appreciate what they're paying for. And so if it means you having to, so for instance, even in my team members, we don't only just do legal courses. We do courses, you know, energy sector, tech, you know, we basically become, we embed ourselves into the business that our clients do so that we can be experts, not only legal experts, but, you know, experts understanding, you know, their sector. You're able to use their terminology, you're able to understand the nuances and all that. So I believe that, you know, with the collaboration, I mean, for instance, there are people who get, there are a lot of young people in tech, for instance, who go into Techstars. I know I have a client who got into Techstars London, and even I had to go to London and, you know, visit the Techstars office just to understand more about the process, you know, because you need to be able to form that long-lasting relationship with your clients. And like I said to you, you know, there are more collaborations with people who are also non-lawyers. On our team, we have consultants who are, you know, tax consultants, who are, you know, accountants, you know, who are, like I said, graphic designers, you know, people who have multiple skill sets. So you need to be able to add value. So for us, we're like a one-stop shop, because when our clients come on board, they know that we can sort of give them a holistic service delivery. Because guess what? The consulting firms do that, the PwCs, the KPMGs and stuff. They offer consulting services, but they also have legal services as well. So it has to be a one-stop shop. I always say the rules of professional conduct in Nigeria have to change, because, you know, saying things like lawyers cannot partner with non-lawyers or share fees with non-lawyers, some of those things, because of the way the world is changing, those rules have to evolve, you know. And then you have this issue of, honestly, there's so many, I don't really want to criticize, but there's a lot of issues and restrictions that are not helping the profession blossom, you know. So you find that to be able to balance, you need to add on other things that, I don't know, I think they're gray areas. I wouldn't say they go against our rules of professional conduct. I'll just say they're gray areas. So yeah.
So you're saying in summary,
go ahead.
Sorry, because I see that we probably have -1 minute before we need to take questions. So you're saying in summary that really, again, more capacity building, more lawyers need to understand a whole lot more than just the law. Trainings. I'm just trying to understand.
And they need to
what
be
you're
creative
saying.
with their services that they offer. So not just because if you're just going to draft a contract, most people can just download the contract online. If you're just going to, there's so many things that people can do now with the internet. So you have to sort of do more. You have to be embedded in their business, like I said. So you have to learn things that are not only law. You need to learn the technical aspects of their business as well to help you give holistic advice. You need to also understand business, both to run your firm and also business advisory for the clients as well. So I had to go and get another, I had to do a course in public policy. I've done courses in business management. I do courses, just to further equip myself so that I'm valuable to the client. So I just believe that, as time goes on, we need to make sure that we're getting involved in other things that are not just core law. That's just my opinion.
Thank you, Chineye. Ethan, I'll come to you with our last question, our last discuss of the day, especially with your experience in tech. I'm curious as to what you think that we need to look out for in the next decade, because I imagine that a lot of what's going to happen in the next decade is going to be driven by technology. So just curious to hear your thoughts, Ethan, about what you think about how the law, legal services, delivery, and policy is going to change in the next decade.
My answer will probably shock you, but I'll start by giving you a more standard. I'll start by giving you a more standard answer, and for me, my biggest one of my biggest passions is blockchain, and I see it really changing how we go about business in Africa. I see it changing the public health system and making sure that people are accountable. Money is transparent and the use of it is transparent, which is a huge thing across the African region. So I see more of those emerging technologies coming out of your blockchain technologies really surfacing, and they've started already. But as you said in the intro, we always here in Africa, we always give that impression that tech is still coming. But it's here, it's now, and now we just have to adjust and get used to it and see how we could benefit from it. So I think that's also where the partnership with the UK can be maximized and utilized. But the bigger answer from me that that immediately came to mind when you asked the question, in terms of what's next for law and lawyers. And I really go back to the origins of the term lawyer or law. And we started as counselors. And I feel as though the outstanding lawyer of the future will be a counselor, will be someone who is as human as they get, because I feel as though the more technology comes, the more we sort of lose our humanity with it. So the technology, the future lawyer, the lawyer for tomorrow, for me, will be one who is closer to humans, closer to humanity, one who can show compassion, one who can listen when a client comes in, and listen, not just try to hear or try to pick a point that you want to drive or a direction that you want to take. Be compassionate. That those all of those attributes are what I feel are key. It's just a shame, and I say this as a tech lawyer, but it's a shame that the race that we feel is more urgent and we're more entertained by is how quickly we can get AI to be closer to humans, how quickly we can get your robots to do more human things and have more human interactions, when the real race should be how humans can be more closer to humanity. So that's my idea of the future lawyer and the future trends all in one.
Great, thank you so much, Ethan. I think that's a fantastic place for us to end our discussions for today. Liz, Harry, do you have any questions for the panel?
I was just going to say very quickly, if you were kind of going back to the start of your careers, what would be the advice to your younger selves?
Ethan, can we start with you, please?
I would say have more fun. Yeah, I would say have more fun because time does fly. But I think one thing that I was just reminding myself, I think yesterday even, was it will be okay. Like have patience with the process. It'll be okay. So that's one thing that I would like. I would tell myself if I could go back in time. I'll just tell myself just stick to it and have fun.
Great. Chineye.
Okay, to my younger self, I would say do it afraid. And I would say be confident in who you are. You have your unique identity, you have your own DNA, which makes you stand out. So don't try to be anyone else. Stay on your lane, stay on your path, be persistent, and you succeed.
Thank you. Charlie Louise.
So I would definitely say have fun and take time to breathe and chill. And also at the same time, I'll probably sum up in 2 words, which is just I can. And I think, you know, going with that mindset in the future, just knowing that you can do everything that you want to do, it just depends on whether you want to do it. You can succeed.
Great, thank you. If I may give an answer as well, Liz.
Of course.
I think what I would say to myself is, it seems kind of contradictory because it's 2 things in one. It's have fun as well was the first thing that came to my mind when you asked that question, but also take opportunities more seriously, because I think there's a tendency when you're young to feel, oh, I have forever, and not take certain good opportunities that might come your way as seriously as you would with the benefits of hindsight. So I think that the advice I would give to my younger self would be to take every opportunity that at least lands in your lap. The least that you can do is take it seriously and see how you can maximize and get the best out of everything that comes your way.